Good evening, guys. I'm sorry for coming late. So sorry for that. We just say that we should try to look for the strongest network because it seems I'm battling with network a bit here, so that we'll not start and just stop it like that. All right, guys. Akinola Kodri, Rukayat, Anolua, Blessing Wisdom, AY Jita, Queen Ella TV, Big Eva, Timothy Daniel, and Kenechukwu. You're all welcome. Please tell the rest in the group that we've started already. Let them join. Don't forget, as soon as you join, give the video a thumbs up before you open the chat. Thank you. And we'll start tonight with short revision. I will starting tonight with just a short revision to see how far we've gone already. But while trying to do that, I also like to share my screen ahead of time. Please tell the rest that we soon, sorry, we're already starting, or we started rather. They should try to join. So while we wait for my to load, let me try to do some interactive section. I believe we have done a lot on this GST 101, enough for you to pass your exam now, even if we don't do anything anymore, by the grace of God and with the help of God. your your hard work is already enough, even if you don't do any other thing from now. Well, let's test ourselves again to refresh our brains on what we have done before. But tonight I will be doing some very funny things. It may require you to, you know, I want you to choose a word that, the question is, the word that best fits in the word. I don't know if I can bold anything in the chat. Oh, no, 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 no. We cannot bold. This is the limitation. All right. The first question, question one. The thing you have to do in these questions I'll be dropping is you will choose the alternative to the word I will mention from the option. Another word you can use to replace the words that I will mention from the question. Sorry, yes. So question one is there. The man was sure of his acuity. Now, what is another word for acuity? We have keenness, bitterness, dishonesty, skillfulness. So which one is the correct alternative for acuity? Which one is the correct alternative for acuity? I noticed that that is one other part they usually set questions from that we've not touched at all. So we need to touch that part too. That is what we are doing so tonight before we start the class. So what is the alternative for acuity? Everybody online contribute. Just leave my screen for now. My screen is still loading. Focus on the chat section. We are dealing with the chat section now. We are communicating with the chat section now, or from the chat section rather. Okay, you guys know that one. Now, this question number two says, he calls the boy a mere fritter. What is the alternative to the word fritter? What else can you use instead of fritter? What is the answer to that question? The next one says, that is question number three. Question number three says, okay, let me drop it first before we start reading. In this day and age, All talk of a defensive nuclear war is preposterous. What's the alternative for preposterous? Since nobody is going to survive. So what other words among the listed options can you use to replace preposterous and you still be correct? For the last question, I see that some of you are feeling it. The correct answer to number 2 is bungle. That person that mentioned bungle, you are correct. It is not foolish, it is bungle. Please take note. This is one part I think we have not prepared at all, and they do ask questions on in the exam. So please, that is why we are focusing on that part tonight before we go to any other thing. Okay, so what is the answer to question number 3? When they say something is preposterous, what does it mean from the options? What option will you choose to replace preposterous there? Then we have, let me see your answers. You guys are not, your answers are not encouraging. Keep the answers coming in. Wasteful. Some people says, okay, a lot of people are saying wasteful. Yes, you are welcome, Samuel Chidera. Realistic, unreasonable. No, the correct answer to question number 3 is wasteful. Wasteful. Please note preposterous. The alternative for preposterous in that sentence from the listed options, the closest one is wasteful. Now, question 4 is now before us. Question number 4. Politicians are often cautioned to avoid making provocative statements. What is the alternative to provocative? When they say something is provoking, provocative, what is the alternative from the options listed? You are welcome, my class captain Grace. Uh, please inform the others in the group that we've started. And I think we are meant to start with this module 3. That was the place we plan to start from today. Okay, some people are saying wrong statement. Which one is wrong statement? Don't worry, my screen will show very soon. I'm just Amara Obi. No, 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 no. These questions I'm dropping for you here in the chat box, they are not on the screen. Don't worry. I'm getting them from the material. I don't want to show them on the screen so that people will not be seeing the answer. I want you to brainstorm, answer them. Those of you that have not liked this video, like it, close the chat, go and like it and open the chat back. Thank you. Okay, which one are you answering? Make sure you put the number of the question. You can't just say inciting or persuasive. Which question are you? Okay, like Olayemi says number 4, and number 4 is contradictory. Well, the answer to provocative is persuasive. The answer is persuasive. Okay. Uh, Insikak is saying it should be contradictory. Well, your material says it's persuasive. So I would rather go with your material, because if I was to answer in the exam, I will go with what the material is saying, even if I have another meaning to the word. Now, question number 5 is right there in the chat. Make sure you engage. Make sure you engage. Make sure you engage. Number 5, Bala invariably turns in good assignments because He procrastinates a lot because he procrastinates a lot. What is the alternatives to procrastinate? Are you sure these the answers are even correct like this? Let it not be that some of these the answers, because we all know the meaning of procrastinate, but what they chose as the answer here is no longer. I think the box they use for the answers is scattered. It's scattered. That is why. Because even that provocative should not be persuasive. The answer should be contradictory. And Instacart, you are actually correct. The thing is that in the material, the person that typed, or probably when they saved the material as PDF, some of the things are shifted. That is the problem. So that's provocative. The best option there should be contradictory. Yes, delays. Yes, you all know what it means to procrastinate because some of you usually used to do it. Like some of you should have finished all your materials by now, if not that you've always been procrastinating. Well, the answer in the material is tries to persuade. Tries to persuade. The answer to that number five is tries to persuade, which means somebody that procrastinates will always try to persuade someone that please now I will do it later. Please now I will do it later. You understand? So the correct answer is D, not delays. It's tries to persuade. That is what the material wrote there as correct answer. Yes, what we are doing is closely related to synonyms, like the alternative that best fit in the words that they bolded or underlined. Question 6 is there before us. Many people consider celibacy unsuited to African culture. Celibacy was underlined there or boldened. So what is the alternative to celibacy from the listed options? Is it profligacy, promiscuity, remaining unmarried, or drunkenness? I know some of you will know celibacy a lot, so that one should not be okay. Somebody said remaining unmarried. Okay, you are making sense. Check question 7. Check question 7. Dan Ladi is a rather loquacious fellow. So loquacious was underlined there. What is the alternative for loquacious? Is it smooth and pleasant, good at languages, talkative, or uninspiring? So if you don't know the meaning of the word loquacious, it will be hard to answer that question. And I think question 8 now. Question 8. Don't worry, we still go to what we want to do today. We are using this one to charge up ourselves. That there are also questions like this in the exam. There are also questions like this in the exams. Question 8 says that our strategy is to adapt to the new situation. Adapt was underlined. So what is the alternative to adapt? Our strategy is to adapt to the new situation. So adapt there was underlined. What is the alternative to adapt from the listed options? So we have question 9 coming up now. Question 9, and we will stop on question 10. There are quite a lot of them there. So what I will do is I'll copy them drop them for you in your group so that you deliberate on them more. Question 9 says some local brewers use to describe it as illicit. So illicit was underlined there. Some local brewers used to describe it as illicit. So what's the alternative to illicit from the listed options? So we have the last question tonight while we will go straight to our reading. So question 10, what will you choose as your answer to question 10? We have severed our relationship with the opposing party. So severed was underlined there, and so you have to choose. So let me copy the questions for you guys. After the class, you are at the liberty to check uh, the most suitable one to check. All right, I will just drop I think there are about 20 of them. I'll drop all of them in your group. Go and check for the meaning. Use them to practice. You know, I think this is one part of JS 101 that, fucks students up a lot. Like some of you will eventually see yourself failing because of this part, because you don't have enough vocabularies. So that's why you need to work on daily basis to develop your vocals, So now some of these things are just normal terms you use, they expect you to use like on daily basis in your communication. So I've dropped it for you guys in the group. After the class, go and ruminate, deliberate on it. So many attendants here tonight that have not liked this video yet. Like it, Biko, like it. I'm begging you guys. Now let's go to business, guys. I think my material is showing on the screen now, so we are good to go. The material is showing on the screen now, so we are good to go. Tonight, we want to round up our reading by going through reading and comprehension at varying speed, part 2, reading for vocabulary development, part 1, reading for vocabulary development, part 2, vocabulary development in various academic contexts, part 1 and part 2, and probably refresh our brain on listening enabling skills. That one, we've done it over and over again. You just need to refresh our brains. That is all that is remaining in this material. Then once you are done with that, in your group, the questions I drop for you, try to ruminate on them. Practice them back to back, and you are fully prepared for any bomb they want to throw in the exam. All right, guys, let's start and go straight to business. In the last class, before we go straight to business, remind us what we did in the last class. We've talked about the reading speed. So what can you remember? Anything from the last class? Yes, let's use 2 minutes to do that. You will not see the question. I'm not showing you the question. I'm showing you my screen where we want to read today. The questions are not on the screen, but I've dropped them for you in the group. Go and check the group after the class. Yes. What did you guys, what is your take, or sorry, what was your take home last night? I'm waiting for you guys to contribute. Skimming and scanning. What is skimming? What is scanning? What other things did we do yesterday? What is average study speed? What is the average reading speed? What is the study reading speed? Which one is the slowest? Which one is the fastest? What kind of speed do you use when you are reading 250 to 500 at 70% comprehension? What kind of speed do you use when you are reading 300 words per minute at 50% comprehension? or 250, no, or at 300 word per minute, but 30 to 40% comprehension. Yes, let's teach ourselves, let's refresh our brains. Tell me what you learned, remind us, remind yourself. Study reading speed is the slowest according to Janet Olawale. That's good. Feintola actually learned about skimming and scanning, but she hasn't told us what is skimming and scanning. Grace says that skimming is used to get the general view of an information. Well, that is okay. Yes, I'm waiting for your contributions. You guys are not responding in the chat. We have about 50 attendants here. Why are we having just few people messaging? The rest of you, are you just ghost attendants? Sadiq Miriam said skimming is the fastest speed that is used to get a general overview in the material. Thank you. Maduabuchi Joy says skimming is used to get general idea, view of an information. Okay, scanning is used to get the main idea. Scanning is used to get the main idea. Well, I don't totally go with that. When you are scanning, you just want to pick out a particular information from the material. You are looking for a particular information. Okay, seems a lot of people are not responding, and that is not so good. We are so much here, but we have few people responding in the chat. What's the challenge? What's the issue you guys are having? Why are the rest of you not talking? Okay. Olayemi, average reading speed is being able to read 250 to 500 words for 70% comprehension. Thank you, Olayemi. That is wonderful. Kenneth, Kenneth says scanning is used when you are looking for a specific word or information in a book. Thank you. That is correct. Oluwa Fumi, average reading speed is used for pressure. For pressure, okay, no, it's not pressure. Oluwafumi, it is pleasure. L, not R. If you are pressuring someone to read, that person will not read. So it is pleasure. Thank you. I know what you are trying to say. Oluwafumi, okay, that is Oluwafumi. Then Joy says scanning is used to get specific information accurately correct. Thank you. Average reading speed is used when reading novels and easy textbooks. That is according to Dennis. Thank you, Dennis. That's absolutely correct. Grace says fastest reading speed covers 200 to 300 words per minute. Fastest reading speed, no, Grace, don't fall my hand. No. When we talked about skimming and scanning, we were talking about 800 words per minute with a comprehension of about 50%. That is when you are using the fastest reading speed. So Memunat has corrected you on that. According to Edward Fry, thank you, Memunat. Edward Fry says that at 50% comprehension, someone can read 800 words per minute and still understand what he or she is reading. Okay, 60 to 120 words per minute. Yes, that is for the slowest reader, very slow reader. All right, so let's leave that, guys, and move on to what we want to study tonight. We'll talk about reading at study speed level, which is unit 1 of module 3, GST 101. Reading and comprehending at varying speed levels. 2. Reading at a study speed level, note making from books, and practice in determining study type reading speed. Now, In this unit, you will learn the slowest type of reading, which is reading in a study type manner. Don't forget that in the part one of this topic last night, we talked about the fastest reading speed, which is a combination of skimming and scanning. And we also talked about the average reading speed, which is the one you use for pleasurable reading like novels, storybooks, or easy to understand or easy to read textbooks. So tonight we want to go to the part two, which will talk about the slow reading method or the slowest type of reading, which is called the study type manner. Now let's go on and see what we have in the main content. I hope my screen is visible at your end. Please let me know if my screen is still visible there. I know it is. I just want to confirm. So let's get to business, guys. This unit is a continuation of the last unit we know, which is devoted to reading at the fastest speed as well as reading at average speed. Yes, I've just mentioned that earlier. The last reading speed level that will be discussed in this course is study reading speed. As I've said to you earlier on, the slowest reading speed is the study reading speed. So this reading speed needs high concentration, and particular statement is one of the questions in the question bank. Dash reading speed requires particular attention. I don't know what we'll do tonight too. I was really having some issue. I think it's stable back, thank God. All right. So please let's answer that question. Then there is this particular question like this in the exam bank that talks about the kind of reading speed that requires particular attention to details. And I just hope you guys will know the answer. Yes, Mr. Case, you are welcome tonight, and thank you for yesterday. Reading Dash reading speed needs high concentration and particular attention to specific details, which must be remembered possibly during examination. This question is a valid question in exam, possibly. You may be lucky to see it this semester. Now, the first exercise that must be done while undertaking study speed reading is note making. You need to understand one thing with study reading speed. There is no how you say you are studying for exam and you will not be making note. And that is how we came about the idea of summary. While you are reading, to prepare for exam, you will want to be jotting down important points that you are meeting along the way as you are reading. So in the process of jotting down important points, for instance, today you want to read module 1 unit 1. Under module 1 unit 1 things you are able to learn through your reading. When you jot them down by making notes on those important points you've just grabbed from the unit, what you are doing is you are summarizing the material. That day you've summarized unit 1. So your notes become summary that you will eventually read a day before exam as a form of refreshing your brain to remind you when you were reading it, when you were jotting this thing down, there will be pointers to points that you've jotted down from your reading. So the first activity that takes place or that shows that the kind of reading speed a person is using is the study reading speed, is that the person will be jotting down, which is what we call note making. The person will be making note from what he or she is reading. We'll also draw a line of difference between note taking and note making in this unit. We've done that severally before, but we'll still remind ourselves tonight. So the person will be making notes by putting together the important point that you read. Can you still remember what we said in the previous unit about the distinction between note taking and note making? We've done that. If you cannot remember, well, you can go back to the unit, but let me remind you for the sake of exam. Note making is when you are reading from a book and you are jotting down important points. You are making a note from what you are reading. Note taking is when you are receiving from someone else and you are jotting down. For instance, you are attending a seminar and the speaker is actually making a speech and you are jotting down the speech, you are taking note. A lecture is ongoing, you are jotting down, you are taking note. You are in a church sermon or your imam is giving you an exposition and you are jotting down, you are taking notes. You take from someone while you make on your own. The one you make, note making, is the one you do on your own while reading. The one you take is the one you take from someone when the person is actually teaching you something and you are writing down. So that is the difference between the two of them, note making and note taking. Let's do a very short classwork. Kindly drop in the chat box what is note making, what is note taking. Thank you. Mr. Case is already giving us that note taking is taking notes from lectures or speeches, etc. Why note making is making. Thank you, you guys. Big Eva is already doing. Big Eva, where is your wife? I've not seen Dora tonight. Oh, what's happening? You guys have started your ojoro abi? Husband will be in class, wife will not be in class. We no gree for here. Grace, where is your co-class captain? What's wrong? Why is she not here? So Bukola Adegbola, you are welcome. I think I'm just seeing you for the first time. I don't know if this is your first time of joining us. She says, I want to believe Bukola is a girl. Note taking is taking notes from lectures, seminars, and speeches. Thank you. You are correct. So, guys, let's move on. Note taking is a term we reserve for taking notes from lectures, speeches, or talks that are heard. Note making is jotting down the important points from textbooks, articles, reports, and handouts. Now, note making from books, we want to look at it as a case study for understanding the study speed method of reading. Note making from books is not the same as taking notes from lectures. In my own set, I answered this question in my exam. They asked in that exam that dash is not the same as taking notes from lectures. Thank God I had proper understanding of the question then, so I was able to answer it very correctly. So you have a question there. Janet is asking, well, Grace will help you with the group link, or let me just drop it. We've been dropping the group link over and over again, where that group is actually for mass communication students alone. Mass communication students alone. So you will not benefit much if you join and you are not studying mass com, because it's only the GSTs that join you guys together. Every other thing they do there is all on their own courses, the mass communication courses. Okay, so network is a general thing tonight. I can notice it too. Like, even here, I'm just trying to be strong. The network is not on our side, but we'll do what we do and get out. The next or the last class will be on Zoom, when we have time to interact. We'll give room to everybody to talk, everybody to teach, everybody to say something. Now, note making is totally different from taking notes from lectures, although the two activities share certain in common, because in any case, whether you are taking notes or you are doing something on notes, that is the main thing. Whether you are taking notes or you are making notes, the general thing is you are doing something on notes, even though they are different from each other. You must first of all understand what the lecture or the textbook is saying before you start writing notes. These things we are doing, they are not just for you to pass exam. They are things you will use on daily basis, not only in academic, it's even in your daily life. If you want to read a book now, to understand the book, you will surely use a slow reading method. And in the process of reading the book, you will need criticizing the book by jotting down important points and rephrasing things that have been done better in the book. How do you do that effectively? That is what this book wants, this particular material want to teach you now. How to make notes and make it like a professional. If you know all these skills very well, there are skills you can turn to money making skills. If you are somebody that is very flexible, you can make money. People that are writing your summaries, all these summaries we said to you, they are actually making money from it. And it's just from all these ideas that will gather those knowledge together to write summaries for you. You read, so how do I make notes? How do I make notes? So in case you are asked in exam, what are the steps to successfully make notes from a material or a reading context or whatever? The first thing is that you must understand the lecture or the textbook before you start writing anything. You won't just attend a class now, probably a lecture. Okay, Dora is here. Thank God Dora is here because I've been looking for our able Dora since. I was already attacking Big Eva for attending class and leaving his wife at home. Thank God Dora is here. I think the equation is balanced now. Big Eva's heartbeat will beat better now. It will beat normal. So you must first of all understand the material you are reading. If your material is not, if you just open the book and you start jotting, what do you want to jot? It is what you understand that you jot from or you write down from the book. Okay, the second thing apart from understanding the material is that you must pay attention to headings and subheadings of the lecture or the textbook. Why do you need to pay attention to headings and subheadings? This is what headings and subheadings help you to do. They can be very important in determining the major points. In most cases, the title often implies the major points that will be covered in the entire lectures or the reading material. This is not always the case though. Sometimes the title may be deceptive. It may not contain what is in the content of the lecture or the book. But in most cases, the title will lead you to what you are expecting in the content. So the second thing you need to do, apart from understanding the material that you want to make note from, the second thing is that you need to look out for or watch out for headings and subheadings, because that is what helps you. Okay, now when we open this material and we go to module 3, if I have not read out to us the units that we have there, that one says that reading comprehension part 2, note taking, note making, we wouldn't have known what this particular module is all about. But from that topic alone, we already have a general idea of what this unit will teach us. So you need to watch out for headings and subheadings, which is point 2. Point 1, let me remind us. Point 1 is that you need to understand the material first before you start writing anything. The second thing that you need to do if you want to be an effective note maker or note taker is that you need to understand, is that you need to watch out for headings and subheadings, whether in the lectures or in the textbooks you are actually writing from. Now, the third one is look for the signals in the lecture and in the textbook that show that an important point or main point is about to be stated. Definitely, when you are listening to a speech or probably you are reading a book, once you say some important point that we call transitional devices that the writer or the speaker uses to emphasize strong point when they want to make important, when they say, now listen very attentively, this is an important part of the lecture. Like sometimes when we are here and I'm telling you that what I want to say now is very important, so pay attention. What I'm just trying to say there is that very important is already telling you that the next thing this person is going to say is something I should not miss, joke with. So the third thing you look for or you must possess or must be able to do when you want to write or make notes effectively or take notes effectively is that you must be able to watch out for important words, signals that lead to important point, signals that lead to important point. We mentioned 3 skills now that you need to possess to be able to write notes effectively or either make note or take note effectively. First skill is that you must understand the lecture or the material. The second thing is that the second thing you need to do is that you must, sorry, watch out for headings and subheadings. That is point two. I need somebody to list it for us. Thank you, Rich Movies. That is what I'm asking for. Someone should list it in the chat box. Watch out for, first of all, understand the material or the lecture. Secondly, watch out for headings or subheadings in the material or from the speech. Then the third thing is watch out for signals that lead to important points. Now, look, important points are about to be made when you hear or see the following type of words. Firstly, or first, secondly or second, the most important, more important, or least important, this, therefore, nevertheless, the major point, perhaps, the best of all, it's worth remembering, consequently, conversely, moreover, furthermore, and many others. All these words are used to show important points. I want you, everyone online, we have a short classwork, and until you people finish answering the classwork before I will continue, use this word to form a sentence. So I will drop it now. Yes, use nevertheless to form a sentence. Nevertheless, let's say an important statement you can come up with. An important statement you can come up with using nevertheless. I also need to chip in, guys. I have just updated GST 101 questions on the exam portal. There are new questions I've added, which I fetched from old questions like 2017, 2018. So I have uploaded them for your perusal, so you can stretch yourself more and more on the exam portal. All right, so let's hear from you guys. Everybody online, make sure you use that nevertheless in the sentence. Use nevertheless in the sentence. I'm waiting for you guys before I move to point four. You guys are the one delaying also. Use nevertheless. Babalola Oyindamola says, nevertheless, we are passing our exams. I need you to understand something. That before you use never, I've been saying something before. That's the first thing you need to know. You can't just say nevertheless, we'll pass our. There must be something you have been saying before. Nevertheless, will now come in between, and then you now say something else. Maybe that your own now that you say nevertheless, we are passing our exams. You may say that the network situation in the exam hall, was discouraging. Nevertheless, we are passing our exam. Fine. You stated something earlier before it. Nevertheless, it's not just something that I used to say it was straight like that. It was like trying to say something else from what you have been saying before. So, nevertheless, that is all for today. Well, you guys are, none is a good institution. Nevertheless, it has some challenges. Kenneth Dimensog. I don't know if that pronunciation is correct, but I know Kenneth. That's very good one. A very good one. It was raining heavily. Nevertheless, we went out. Thank you. Adeniran Oyindamola Emmanuel. Thank you. That's a very good one. So you guys now understand it. That is how it should be going. You are saying something before. So you want to use nevertheless to switch to another idea, maybe about what you are saying before or even contrary to it. Now, Ade is a very smart and active in class. Okay, no, not there is no A there. Okay, Ade is very smart and active in class. Nevertheless, he needs to improve in his relationship with others. This is an absolute one. Thank you, class captain. Rich Movie says, I was supposed to attend Vigil because it was the last Friday of the month. Nevertheless, I stayed at home. Why? Which movies? Oh yeah, carry your bag. Biko, go to BG before we use cane to pursue you. Go and pray. Oh. We need prayers. So this exam here, is only God that will help us. So pray for us. So those of you that are going to VG tonight, I beg you, go to the altar and taku síbẹ̀. Don't leave there until God answer you. Pray for all of us. Everybody is known solution and in our group. We must pass by force. Yes, 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 yes. I am seeing more and more and more, quite a lot. I won't be able to attempt everything. Well, Dora, the latest bride in town, says it was a difficult hike. Nevertheless, the view from the top was absolutely worth it. That is a perfect one for nevertheless. I'm so glad that you guys understand the meaning of nevertheless now. So let's move on to number 4. Write down the major points as stated by the lecturer or the textbooks. That is the next thing. After you've understood the material, you've watched out for headings and subheadings, you move on to watching out for the key points. The next thing is now to write down those. You jot them down. So in the case of listening comprehension, you have to write the points down quickly. But in the case of making notes from text, you have more time to write the points down. The thing is that the speed at which you'll be writing down important points will vary from listening to speeches to writing from a book. Of course, if you are listening to a speech, you know that you must be fast to write down the important points. If not, the speaker will say another thing and that one will disappear from your head. So, number 5, select as you write down the point the words or phrases that give maximum information about the major point. You should also avoid words and expressions that do not convey any meaning. This one now is not like trying to remove redundancies, things that are not important that you've jotted down. Number 6 is show connection between the previous point put down as note and the present ones. That is, after you filtered out the unnecessary words that you've used, now compare them with the main points you jotted down earlier. Well, how do you create connections? Leaving spaces between the first heading and the second, underlining the major points that cut across, conventional symbols such as the arrow, equals to, not equals to, and so on, consistently numbering the point, laying out the notes in a clear, fashionable, readable, and attractive manner. So that is all about making taking notes from lectures now, or making notes. Now, unlike note taking from lectures, notes making from books can be revisited. You can read and reread the passage to be sure the correct points are put down. It's not the same with when you are taking notes from a lecture. Once the lecture is ended, that is all. Well, thank God for our days now that we have asynchronous learning. You can still go back to the recording and still be getting the main point back. But in a normal situation, if it's a speech that was not recorded, you can't revisit it. So whatever you've gotten from the live session, that is the end. So, but in listening comprehension type of note taking, it is often difficult to get the lecturer to repeat the major points. In most cases, you find out that you cannot stop the lecturer when talking. However, in case of note making, you can always go back and reread areas that are not clear to you, areas that are ambiguous to you. Let's meaning of that word, ambiguous. I don't know if that question will come out this year, but there is one question under synonyms like that. Ambiguous is part of the life questions. All right, I hope your network is still okay. Can we proceed or should we stop here? Yes, let's hear from you guys. So while you are deliberating, let's talk about practice in determining study type reading speed. In a slow study type reading, you should ensure that you read at least 200 to 300 words per minute. So let's test ourselves. Assuming this is exam and your question number 23 says, okay, let me drop your question number 23 now. So you answer it. This is exam and you are now on question 23 and this pops up on the screen. What will you okay, it's like guys are having some deliberations in the group there. All right, so that is it. You guys already know it. You should also ensure that you have a high level comprehension while studying at this reading speed level. At least in the study type reading speed, your comprehension rate should be 80 to 90% according to Jace Itar. That is James and the rest. So, of course, since they said that there is a possibility of somebody reading at 800 words per minute and still having 50% understanding, if you are reading at 200 to 300 words per minute, then you should definitely have up to 90%, 80 to 90% understanding to be a good reader. Now, for a poor reader to achieve 80 to 90% understanding, that person will be reading at 60 words per minute, 60 to 120 words per minute. Please note that. You can see that percentage that we are having now, there are now about 6 of them. First of all, 800 words per minute, 50% comprehension for skimming and scanning. Secondly, we talked about 250 to 500 words per minute at 70% comprehension for average reading speed. And for a poor reader using average reading speed, 300 words per minute at 30 to 40% understanding. We've talked about that. Thirdly, or is it fourthly or furthermore, we've talked about a slow reading method where you need to read about 200 to 300 words per minute and still understand 80 to 90% for a good reader. But for a poor reader, 60 to 120, 5 words per minute at 80 to 90%. This particular paragraph alone can give 5 marks in the exam if you are lucky that this semester the questions from this side come out in your exam. About 5 questions they set here and you may be lucky. Even if it's one of them that comes out, try to answer it correctly. So I think we are done with that unit and we can check out the conclusion. The conclusion is not really okay. Excuse me. Now to the second one, reading for vocabulary development part 1. Reading for vocabulary development part 1. Oh, this is where we'll be talking about word attack. And this part too. But this part, they usually ask question on TMA from this part. But we can't predict no. The question bank is very large. You don't know what they'll bring out. So, okay, no, guys, we're not going to do word attack again. We've done it before. I can vividly remember we've done word attack. How many of you remember the class where we treated word attack? We've done word attack before. I'm so sure of that. We have done word attack before. Yes, network is bad everywhere. I'm also All right, somebody said we should continue tomorrow. I hope you guys know that tomorrow we'll be starting in the afternoon. Tomorrow we'll be starting in the afternoon. So you guys prepare yourself, get set. We'll try tomorrow. Let's leave it like this. Sincerely, the network is bad. I can feel it too. So let's end it here and hope for a better class tomorrow. Do have a wonderful night rest.